G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video. Here we go around Tokyo Expressway East Outer Loop in Group 4, and I've gone for the Bugatti Veyron this time. So I thought, you know what, a massive 2 kilometer straight on this track warrants a car that has good top end. And what car has good top end? Well, none other than the fastest car in the world, the Bugatti Veyron. Now, albeit it is tuned for Group 4, but we won't talk about that because that is quite an interesting quirk of Group 4, how a Bugatti Veyron can race against, for example, have a look at my paper here. What else have we got? We've got the Dodge Viper, Alfa Romeo 4C, Audi TT. Like, how can an Audi TT and a Bugatti Veyron race closely? But Group 4 manages to do it for us. But here we go, it's actually race C for this particular week, and we actually did a few races around here. Now the main thing about this race, and where the title of the video comes from, you just have to avoid the chaos, because stuck in that mid-pack cut, the track is so narrow, walls on either side, you basically touch a wall, instant 5-second penalty, and we'll probably see a couple of them here, as this Lamborghini goes slightly wide through turn 1, just give him a bit of a bump, and we are up the inside on turn 2 actually, and we managed to get through there side by side, but he was on the racing line. I had the wider line, I had the narrower line, so I wasn't quite able to carry as much speed as him, and that's why he's managed to just slot in ahead. But you see that tiny amount of fighting, it's put us off the lead pair by 1.5 seconds already, and we're not even halfway through the first lap. And then this little chicane here is the first, well, aside from turn 1 and 2, it's the little bit of a braking zone in pretty much flat out section. I'm pretty sure this corner coming up, turn 8, this corner here is flat out when you get it dead right, which I haven't quite done there. A little bit of a lift on the way in, but it's all good. But you see that little bit of a lift has just allowed me to lose touch with this green Lamborghini up ahead, so I'm not quite going to be in the slipstream, although I will at the moment, but with the way it's going, I may not be by the time this straight comes after the final hairpin turn 12. Heading down the hill, he's actually gotten a poor run out of turn 11, so I'm able to get into that slipstream, into the braking zone, braking just on that little bit of a shadow, and it's kind of awkward. I try to go for the move there, but he kind of brakes in a diagonal line. He didn't really move in the braking zone. He held his line, but it was diagonal, and he actually gets a 5-second penalty for that, so I would say that was probably definitely my fault. I just pull over to the left hand side and you see me feathering that throttle there, so I just want him to get back ahead. Now it's probably in futility there because, oh, massive lag spike there, probably in futility because of course being in the slipstream of the car ahead, you can actually get ahead or at least alongside into the braking zone of turn 1, which therefore translates into an overtake. But you see, I've just allowed him to stay side by side here, and you've got a car coming up between us. I just closed the gap in between us, looking down on the radar of course, and that car coming up that was behind is now on my left hand side. He's got to pass us both, Gr.4, also in another Lamborghini, into the braking zone. 2 Lamborghinis side by side. Can they get through turn 1? The green one just goes a little bit wide, just nudges the car again, and it's pretty much a repeat move of turn 1, but it just gets a little bit more awkward through here. Look how awkward that gets. He turns 100%, that Lamborghini on my outside turned in on me, forced me into that wall, forced me into the inside wall, which slowed me right down. Car went into the back of me and touched the wall and given me a 2-second penalty, which I'll serve in the penalty zones of the same lap, at the end of the lap obviously, and I just misjudged the braking after the penalty there and go into the back of the other Bugatti there, and I'd have to avoid contact again and just allow the 2 people to get ahead of me now. And you see we're back into the slipstream of this green Lamborghini now, going down the straight. You see how massive this straight is going to be. So pretty much all these penalties, so I've gotten 1 already, so this race is going well. You know I started in 4th, I believe. See all these penalties, it's pretty much SR down simulator. So every time you touch another car, every time you get a penalty, SR flash down, and the penalties where you touch a car and then they touch the wall, the game thinks you push them into the wall, but it was a complete accident in the end. The SR drop for that is just so harsh. It's like, I did a race recently, last night to the recording of this video, touched a car lightly, nudged them into the wall. I mean, frankly, they were going to go into the wall anyway, and this will be in a video coming out sometime this year, I guess. Yeah, nudged a car and they touched the wall. I got 3-second penalty. I went down by pretty much 20 SR points from one bit of contact in the race. It's absolutely just, oh, it's so aggressive and so harsh. They really need to fix it. I'll take 5 SR points from an accident, but yeah, I'm not really one to complain about the penalty system too much because I understand it's a video game and they're doing their best, but honestly, from what I've seen on this particular track, it's absolutely outrageous. But anyway, we'll digress from that and head back to the race now. We're going to follow these two Lamborghinis through here. I get a little bit out of shape going through turn 8, on the exit of turn 8. And I just slide into the wall and there's a 5-second. That's the one I was talking about. Instant 5-second penalty. Get overtaken by 2 cars at one of the narrowest points on the track there. Honda and a Chevrolet go through. Honda slides into the wall, gets a 5-second penalty. I will serve mine on this lap. The Honda will not, because he didn't get the penalty early enough before these penalty gates coming up to serve it on the same lap. So I will slow down for 5 seconds here, and I'm in 7th now. We'll see how many positions I lose. There's 2-3 positions, another couple of penalties being served behind, down into 11th. Let's not misjudge the braking point this time for the final corner now that I've served the penalty, and we get through there nicely. Onto the straight now. Now the Bugatti has all-wheel drive, so you can actually get onto the power really early, and those front tyres will drag the car in a straight line. Will complete the corner and drag it into a straight line. Now that group up ahead, you see they've gotten penalties by the end of the next lap as well, and that Lamborghini just comes out of the ghost at a very awkward time, and it looks like I nudged him off, but if you look at his brake lights, you can rewind and have a look. Look at his brake lights. They don't come on until quite a bit later, so he was... he outbroke himself. Probably not helped by the fact I went into the back of him lightly, but that's besides the point. Going through turn 10 now, a little bit wide through there, not quite able to carry the speed. I've got a car right up, trying to go up the inside at turn 11, not a good spot, and I end up into the wall. Honda goes into the wall. That was the car up my inside. Does any penalties? Oh my god, another penalty. So, turn 11 is not an overtaking opportunity. I would not be sticking my nose up the inside of another car at turn 11 on this particular track, and of course it's not early enough to serve it on this lap, so that will be served on the next lap coming up now. See, I'm in the slipstream of this Jaguar, but we managed to serve that penalty. 4 seconds there, another Bugatti, another Nissan goes past, and we are down in 13th, and that's where we finish that race. There's a spin across the line. So like I said, it was race C, but you saw 0 pit stops being completed, so it's a simple sprint to the end. Of course, there is fuel use in tyre wear, but tyre wear is the main thing you've got to worry about by laps 6 and 7. Your tyres are really beginning to go off, and you will begin to slide wide and not quite being able to carry as much speed through the corners there. So that race didn't go well. So, honestly, this track, I really like the track. It's a beautiful time trial track, so you can hammer down laps, get the best time you can, which is really hard just because of the nature of the track. It's flowing, you've got to get friendly with the walls, but you don't want to touch them. But yeah, as far as racing goes, it's a little bit too narrow here, but we'll go through a lap at least. So we're going to brake just on the 100 meter board, go down into 3rd gear from 7th gear in this car, just nudge the wall on the inside there, but get on the power nice and early, and then turn 2, turn in way earlier than you think, because the exit is actually, I don't know, the exit's kind of weird. It's a bit more open than you think, and you can get on the power a lot earlier. Turns 3 and 4, the little S bends coming up, flat out through here, 6th gear, keep it nice and narrow through turn 3, and then we've got turn 4 coming up. We're a 10th up on a 209.3 at the moment, coming into the chicane here, braking just before the 50, go down 1 gear into 5th and get straight back on the power. The car just sticks to the road through there, and you can get turn 6 therefore flat out. Turn 7, this shallow right-hander, and then turn 8, throw it in. It is flat out when you get it dead right. Didn't quite get it flat out that time. And then turn 9 here. You get a little dab of the brakes before the crest on the entry, and then you get through the corner nicely. Turn 10 now. Little dab of the brakes just before the 50 meter board. 5th gear through here, and then turn 11. You want to get flat out when you get it absolutely dead right, and I think we have done so there. 6/10 up on a 209.3. And we're going to head into the braking zone of the final corner now. I have said it in previously in the video, you're going to brake just on the shadow that is cast by the gantry up ahead, but I do go a little bit deep that time thanks to the excellent exit I had from turn 11, carrying that little bit extra speed, so you ideally probably want to brake just before the gantry, and I do end up going a little bit deep and probably lose about a tenth of a second going through there, but it means I get a straighter exit. I'm able to get onto the power and extend the length of the straight before the finish line. You can see I'm actually gaining time down the first half of the straight before the line. It's going to be 7.5 tenths up on a 209.3. We're going to cross the line. It's going to be a 208.5. Now this particular time here was actually quite high up in terms of the leaderboard for Oceania region. It was about 80th, and that's good because there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the region, so I'll take it. 207.8, it puts me first in this particular lobby, but unfortunately due to the poor result I had previously, I've actually gone down to AA rating instead of AS, which I was previously. So now that I'm ahead, the idea is to just avoid the chaos. So I think in the last race, the mistake I made was trying to race with the cars immediately around me, and I know that sounds really weird how I'm saying that that's a bad thing, but I feel like when you try and race with the cars on the track around you at the exact point in time, you're going to end up touching someone, they're going to touch the wall, you're going to go into the wall. I feel like in this race I'm going to play the long con here, as they say, and I'm going to try and race the race, not race the opponents, if that makes sense. So pull out of moves that aren't going to work, recognise when opponents are going to make mistakes, and just let them make the mistakes and then make my way past instead of trying to force my way past in a more traditional manner. But going up towards turn 1, when you're in pole, you've really got to keep the cars behind. I know how to defend turn 1, and we'll probably see that at some point in this video or another video. I've got another video on Tokyo Expressway to come out yet in Group 3 in the rain, which will be my first look at the rain, and we'll talk about that when that gets its own video here. But we're going to try and avoid the chaos here, so we're going to spend the first bit of the race in first place. We're going to just keep our heads on and just try and just keep first place. But you see, by lap 4, we've actually got someone right on my tail now who's managed to just stick in my slipstream, and I just go a little bit wide through turn 1. Don't want to touch that wall, so I just have to brake a little bit more than I'd like to. And it's actually Nabapu. We've seen him before. He was in the video on my first race in Sardinia Road Course B, where I went to different replay angles. I'll link it up in the card if you want to have a look at that. Yeah, but no Bapu. He's actually got 5 seconds of penalty, so I'm not too worried about him getting in the lead at the moment, because he'll serve that penalty in the same lap here, just before turn 12 in the braking zone. Now, speaking of that penalty gate, it's actually in a good spot for this track. It could be right on the exit of turn 12, so it murders your momentum for a 2-kilometre run down the straight, but they've put it before the hairpin, so nice of Polyphony to do that. But coming through this corner here, he just disappears. He just decides, you know what, I cannot be bothered. I do not want to see the outcome of me serving this penalty, so we're just going to quit. But you see, I'm a little bit distracted by the X-Files alien abduction, and I end up getting a 5-second penalty myself. So yeah, I've kind of bottled that race, to be honest. I'm coming up towards the turns 10 and 11 now. I've got a Lamborghini up my inside. I just hang it wide because I don't want to end up crashing into the wall. Keep it nice and narrow for turn 11, as I should. Bring it out to the right hand side. We're going to be in the slipstream heading down the hill, but it's all in futility as the penalty gates are here, and I'm going to be slowing down for a heart-wrenching 5 seconds. So as we finish that penalty, I've lost 1, 2, 3, 4 positions, 5 positions down into 7th. Porsche goes really wide. I keep it on the apex. He cuts back and just absolutely smashes into the side of me. Thanks for that, uncalled for. So obviously trying to go for the cutback line to get more momentum for the straight, but I'm there taking the normal apex. So yeah, so thanks for that. But we're going to be in the slipstream slightly heading down the straight, about 1 second behind, but because that Porsche is in slipstream and then the guy in front is in slipstream, it's not really going to end up in any gains. Going through turns 1 and 2, I lose a few tenths there. Okay, heading towards turn 3, through turn 4. Have a look up ahead. 5th and 6th are fighting. They're really close. We head around the corner for the chicane. Let's have a look. As we go around here, someone spears off into the wall. 6th place is speared off to the right-hand side. And then the Porsche up ahead gets an immediate 3-second penalty. So it doesn't take a detective to work out what happened there. There was obviously some squabbling, and the Porsche just turned the other guy into the wall, and he will serve that 3-second penalty here, and I will go past before the braking zone of the hairpin. So let's see, we've got someone up my inside, coming up, perform a cutback on him, I'm not quite able to get onto the power of that corner, just Yeah, it's a hairpin, but it's a really weird hairpin and goes on forever. So I'm not able to get onto that power, but I'm in the slipstream of this Lamborghini. I'm gaining. I probably should have gone into the back of him there, just to give him a little bit of a speed boost, but it's all good. I pull alongside the Lamborghini here, and the top speed of the Bugatti Veyron begins to come to light. So we were side by side, and usually some cars run out of steam when you pull out of the slipstream, but this one didn't this particular time, and he's actually back in my slipstream. I've actually gone to the wrong side here. I should have gone to the right hand side, but you see he actually pulled out of the slipstream there, looked down in the radar, and he actually ran out of steam. He had to pull back into the slipstream. He's going to try it again. He's going to try and go around the outside at turns 1 and 2. He's got the momentum this time, braking on the 100-meter board. He's around the outside, and am I going to be able to keep my position for the final lap here? Still side by side. He just grazes the wall there, not quite able to get the momentum around the outside. So let's focus on the group up ahead. We've got 2nd, 3rd and 4th up ahead, and to be fair, any of these positions probably would be good considering what has happened a couple of penalties later. So let's focus this lap. Actually, I've got this Lamborghini right on my tail there. Let's hope he doesn't get an overlap here. He does. Just gets a bit of an overlap going through turn 4, and I'll have to back out because, you know, I obviously don't want to end up with a penalty there, and it gets really messy here. I'm slow through the chicane, distracted by the penalty and the Lamborghini up ahead, and someone goes into the back of me there. No penalties yet, which is good. Heading through turn 8. Get through there nicely. I've got someone right on my tail, about a 10th behind. I'm not too worried about this Lamborghini up ahead because it will serve the penalty there. I just grazed the wall on the exit of turn 9. Porsche takes the opportunity to go past, but as long as we're in the slipstream for that straight, we should still be able to get past, go really wide through turn 10, and then I've get lunged again through turn 11. It's not been a good lap. This Ferrari will serve the 3 seconds coming into the same penalty zone. I'll probably make up 2 positions here. It's likely going to be a 5th, but we'll see what happens into the braking zone of the hairpin. Porsche once again takes this really weird wide line. Try and get on the power nice and early. I just have to come out of it. Yeah, I just have to come out of it as I was going to slide into that wall. So that's the danger of these really worn tyres, as you try and get on the power and the car can't pull itself into a straight line, it just understeers. So we are in the slipstream of this Porsche, but I'm not sure about the gap ahead, but it's all in futility as that gap to the finish line is slowly closing, and yes, the Porsche goes across, followed by me in 6th. It's going to be a 6th, so 9 seconds off the leader, so that's not really that good, considering I did start on pole, and yeah, so you see, it was just one little mistake. One car got ahead and I was distracted by him getting a penalty, and then I ended up sliding wide into a wall, and that got my penalty, and then I fell back into the pack. But let's go one more time. I know I can do it. I just have to sit down, I just have to concentrate, I just have to be consistent. Sit down, concentrate, consistency. They're my 3. That's my mojo, and I'm still AA rated at least. It doesn't fall down to B, which would be a disaster. So let's start the race now. Let's see if we can just get through turn 1. That's the main thing here. If I can just get through turn 1 without getting lunged, then I'm pretty sure I can keep the lead, provided I don't make a mistake and don't allow the rest of the pack to catch up. So heading down the straight now, I am weaving slightly. Now, that's not normally a good thing, but I'm just trying to break slipstream here. Of course, I'm not going to weave to defend. I'm going to weave to break slipstream. So if he was right behind with momentum, I'm not going to weave across. Heading into turn 1, he's right behind. Is he going to look up the inside? I'm going to break as late as I possibly can, and then we're going to turn in for turn 1. Just knock that apex a little bit, but not enough for a penalty, so thank goodness, not to worry. Turn 2, probably turned in a little bit late, but I get on the power nice and early. These grippy tyres really grip the car through that corner there, and it feels really good. Through turn 3, nice and narrow, 8 tenths ahead, nice and narrow through turn 3, and then we're going to come across for turn 4. Now we're going to take a slightly late apex in terms of the corner, because we want to be on the right hand side for the chicane here, braking just before the 50. Normally go down 1 gear, but I keep it in 6th in that particular instance, and that we actually get through there okay. Second ahead, still going to be slipstream range for the straight, and if a car has good top end, definitely I'll be susceptible to a move by the end of it. And then we're going to head through turn 8 there, up through turn 9, crest on the entry, but we get through there okay. 9 tenths, still around a second ahead, not really made any gains in the last few corners. We're going to go through turn 10 now, 4th gear through there, a little bit of a waggle moment halfway through that corner, but we get through there okay. Turn 11, get on the power nice and early, heading down the hill, down the slip road, heading towards the expressway once again, and then we're going to head up towards that hairpin as well. Braking just on that shadow cast by the gantry, right on the shadow this time. It's a little bit deep. We're going to cut back for the late apex. That's how you cut back for the late apex, not take a deliberately deep line, go slightly deep, just miss the first part of that, just sort of the first apex, the hairpin, and then you come back for the second part, doing a lot more slowing on the top part of the corner. That's kind of the difference between the line I took there and the line that Porsche took earlier, going really deep. You actually lose a couple of tenths going really deep, so you're not going to make a gain as a whole. Across the line, we're actually 1.7 seconds ahead, not quite going to be slipstream range, and well, by the end of the race, that translated into a victory. And if you just caught a glimpse of my lap times on the right hand side there, I had a consistent 2:10s, a couple of 2:11s and a 2:12 in the race there. I'll take it, you know. So it's a victory for Daily Race C, and you know me, when I get a victory I leave the race, and there was actually a whole lot more races that didn't make the video that obviously weren't victories, because I would mention that. But that's going to be it from the video today, because I got a victory and I don't want to, you know, jinx myself anymore. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Do hit that like button to let me know that if you did, or if you didn't, I guess there's also a button down there for that, and do hit subscribe if you'd like to see amazing videos like this in your subscription box every week. But that's going to be the end of the video today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.